If you watch the news anytime these days, doom scroll of negativity, you definitely have seen the spots about everyone's leaving New York. I get this question at least 3 times a day. Hey Liz, how's the market? Is everyone leaving? No, not everyone's leaving. What you need to do if you're a buyer that's planning on coming into the city or someone who's trying to sell their property here in New York. Because while, yes, some people are leaving, prices aren't collapsing, inventory is not decreasing at a rate that we would need to be worried about, and when you get into those micro neighborhoods, the inventory is high. Today, I'm going to be breaking down the 5 reasons people end up leaving the city and what you need to be doing if you want to be staying here in the greatest city in the world. For those of you who don't know, it's your Lizzztings. I am an investor-friendly real estate agent who loves to help people come and make their dreams come true, buying or selling in the greatest city in the world. All right, so part 1, we're going to talk about the real reasons why people are leaving New York. And I'm sure you can guess the first one. It has to do with money, the taxes. So yeah, here in New York, we have really crazy high taxes. We have mansion tax, we have city tax, we have state tax, we have transfer tax. So when you are purchasing a property here, yeah, you're gonna be paying a lot of taxes, even if you already own a property, high taxes. That's pretty much a go without saying. But when you look at what you're getting in New York, I mean, come on. You can't get this kind of opportunity out in Kansas, people. So yeah, you get what you pay for. Compared to states like Florida, again, yeah, it's higher.
But do you want to live in Florida? I mean, it's nice to visit every now and then, but I sure don't.
So yes, some people are leaving because of the taxes, but the majority of the market is stable because people want to be here. So people who are renting, if you're an investor and you're looking for renters, yeah, you're not going to have any problem finding people who are still willing to pay premium prices for renting out an apartment here in New York. Number 2, infrastructure fatigue. So what do I mean by that? New York is constantly in a state of change and construction. So with that, in any market, you're going to see a lot of bottlenecks, traffic, areas where there's high levels of construction and roadblocks. And that can be very frustrating for people who aren't used to embracing the lovely world of road rage we have going on here. Now, we have great transportation options for public use so that you don't have to constantly rely on driving everywhere. I, for one, am using my car almost every day because I'm in real estate and I'm in different boroughs. I play a little game, where in the world is Lizzztings today, because I'm in 5 different boroughs almost every day, but that's an anomaly. That's not the standard. Yes, people are leaving if they're looking for the more space. They want a parking space, they want a garage, they don't want to deal with all of those noisy construction projects going on and maybe some antiquated subway systems and stations. Yeah, but it's not for everyone here. We'll just be completely straight up honest with that, and that's okay with us too. There's a big country out there. If you don't like it, you could go somewhere else. Fine with me. That's really more of a lifestyle shift, not really a financial one. So if you already knew you love New York and had nothing to do with the lifestyle, then that's not really a big deal. And when we look into affordability, of course, compared to other higher metros, New York is an area that people are moving out of because of the affordability. It can be extremely overwhelming to see how expensive it can be to live here. If you purchased in 2020, 2021, 2022, I'm jealous. I wish I made that move because honestly, that was when everything was a lot cheaper. Now, 5 years later, we're seeing prices that have increased astronomically, and that's only going to continue over time. So people say, I wish I bought 5 years ago. And then they say 5 years later, oh, I wish I bought 10 years ago. Come on, you got to get in at some point. Just bite the bullet and do it. So affordability is obviously still a problem here. People are moving out of the city because they're finding other metro areas that are more affordable. But that's never going to change. If that's a problem for you, then you're probably not looking into New York in the first place. Chicago, Philadelphia, Miami even has options that might be a little bit more in your price point. But price doesn't equal value. I always say this, you get what you pay for. New York has a global demand, deep rental markets, strong long-term appreciation on everything, and a high income tenant pool. So yeah, sure, if you're an investor and you're thinking to yourself, well, I could probably buy 5 doors for the same price as one property in New York, sure, go ahead. But lower entry elsewhere doesn't always mean a strong investment long term. So it really depends on what your goals are. Moving right into number 4, the crime and the perception of crime. So not necessarily people moving out, because the city is pretty safe now. Ever since the invention of the iPhone and video cameraing everywhere, it's really hard to get away with the things that you hear about on the news from the 80s and the 90s. My mom, when I moved here, was like, Liz, you're gonna live in where? Because she saw my neighborhood where when she was living here and going to Columbia, and the university had not a safe neighborhood vibe around it, but it's no longer like that. So anyway, the crime perception is, again, back to that doom scrolling negative fuel that you can really feel the perception from online. But if you don't let that get to you, then you will really see that it's really not scary here at all, okay? If you're not being smart, and you don't have street smarts, maybe it's not the best idea for you. But is New York City actually one of the safest cities in the US? Yes, it sure is. And we are proud of it, honey, okay? And all that to say, perception drives behavior. If someone feels unsafe here, they're gonna leave anyway. So the city wasn't made for them. It's not for everyone. I know I say that often, and I mean it. And number 5, remote work changed everything. Literally everything. If you think about it, I'm at home right now working, talking here. Everyone works from home nowadays. And if you don't work from home, you want to work from home. So did that change the market here? Yes, of course. People are not going into the office. They do not need to be close to work. So they could work from far away and still get their job done from home. And that's the goal. You know, everyone wants to be able to do that. Let's be honest. So with that being said, that's another reason why their people are leaving the city. Maybe they want that yard, they want to get a dog, they want to have an extra bedroom for guests or expanding a family. So that's another reason why people leave the city, of course. So let's head into part 2. What do buyers need to know if you're moving to New York City in 2026? So interest rates are not your play, because if you're waiting around for interest rates to ever go back to 3%, you're gonna be waiting a long time. In New York, rents remain strong always, and certain boroughs are appreciating faster in rent than they are an investor or a buyer. If you're looking to house hack, this is a great opportunity, because you could get a property that's gonna appreciate, but it's also gonna be able to increase the rents at a rate that's quicker than your appreciation. You're not looking to sell. Here, the strategy is long-term. You're not gonna buy a property and flip it. We don't recommend that. Of course, you can do that, but it's really not the market for that. The market here really speaks to people who wanna hold on to something for long-term appreciation and renting out properties that are free market, so that you have the opportunity to increase those rental values at a level that's in line with what's going on in the current market around that micro neighborhood. So micro neighborhoods is very important when you're looking as a buyer in New York. New York is literally 5 cities in one, which makes it super cool, but that's for another day. But hyper local markets matter. Upper East Side does not equal Bushwick, and you cannot compare the two by any means. Astoria does not equal Williamsburg. Downtown Brooklyn does not equal Bay Ridge. If you know, you know. Days on market, price reduction, and price point vary based on neighborhoods and streets. You can go from one pocket of one neighborhood and turn a corner and have a completely different vibe. So it's very important you're working with someone who knows the ins and outs of the hyper-local market. You cannot, and I stress this big time, you cannot analyze New York City by looking at the federal trends. We're in a different kind of market, honey. One thing that is advantageous to a buyer here in New York is that sellers tend to overprice, and the buyers are starting to pick up on that. Now, I'm not talking for every single seller. Of course, there's those deals that people want to actually sell. They're motivated, and those properties move fast. But the properties that are sitting on the market for a long time, you know, our buyers are getting more savvy. So we need to respect that. And I'm proud of you. If you found this video, then you're obviously one of those savvy buyer investors. You already know what you need to do to be prepared to buy here. So People aren't just throwing money at something and maybe paying over what they should be. They're doing the research, they're making sure that they get the math and calculations correctly and hire someone who can help them make sure that they're getting a good deal. And so if you're a seller looking to sell something over market value, highly unlikely that it's going to happen anytime soon. We're seeing increased days on market, sellers forced to reduce the price if they really need to sell. And with keeping that in mind, these are sophisticated buyers. So respect that. Properties that are overpriced tend to sit. Properties that are priced right move. You might not even see them. They might not even hit the market. We saw one this week that was on the market for one day, but it was already under contract. So legally, they have to do that, but most of the time, that's how it works here. If it's property that they want to sell, it's going to sell within a week. All right, moving on. That gives us an advantageous room for negotiation. So if you are interested in buying something here in New York, definitely hit me up. I'd love to walk you through the process and see if it's a good fit. Another thing you need to focus on here is the taxes. They are real and you need to budget accordingly. So you're not just focusing on that down payment when you move here and the closing costs. You also need to focus on the tax. So that is a big chunk of change that you need to have set aside in order to purchase here. And I don't want to scare you, but it is something you need to keep in mind. This market is not for the weak. And what we can help you prepare for ahead of time, we will. Okay, we come to the last part, part 3. If you are planning on getting out of New York and you want to list your property here, we would be happy to help you. But here are some things you really want to focus on and think about. This is not 2021, honey. You could not just throw your price and name your price like the price is right and hope it sticks. We have to go in strategically. You need to look at the 60-day comps. What has sold in the last 60 days? We cannot compare to last year's market or even the last 6 months. We need to look very closely at what has been selling in the last couple of months. That's important to make sure we're looking at the local market as well. Now, you're probably thinking, what if nothing has sold in my local market? We'll be able to help you out with that. Because usually they're not all listed or you're not able to see it. But from the agent's perspective, we're able to do a little bit more digging and able to find what we're looking for as far as pricing. Pricing matters more than ever. You do not want your property to sit days on market. Presentation, another non-negotiable. So I'm looking at these MLS listings and I see pictures with clutter and stuff all in the background like we're on Hoarding Buried Alive. Now, of course, if we're looking at a property that's being sold as is, which a lot of times it is, sure. But even then, guys, if you're going to put your property on the MLS, please hire someone like me who has a team who's going to come in included with your package to get those professional photos taken and even a video. We're trying to sell something here, so we need to make it look appealing to the buyers. We're not just gonna slap up some iPhone pictures that are blurry or low res. Come on. So that requires a little bit of work on your end. Clean staging, making sure that if it needs fresh paint, do it. Take the time to do that. It's gonna be worth it when you're looking for that top of the market price point. Get top of the market pictures and top of the market product. Goes hand in hand, goes without saying, but you'd see what I see, you'd be surprised. And of course, if you're moving and you're buying another property, timing matters. So you don't want to be in a situation where you sell here and you don't have another property already, or vice versa. So if you need to sell this property in order to buy elsewhere, the sooner you get that conversation going, the better. Because we don't want you to be homeless, but we also don't want you to be rushing to close in order to close on that next property. So make sure you're planning strategically on the timing and have that conversation sooner than you think. Of course, the more you're over prepared, the better. Preparation equals leverage, honey. All in all, sellers, marketing is strategy. And when you have someone like me who's obsessed with that kind of stuff, it won't be a problem. But what you really need to focus on is that buyers are sophisticated and savvy, and you need to present them with a package that's worth purchasing, appealing. They're super analytical. So you need to give them confidence in what they're buying. And that's it. If you made it this far, leave me a comment and let me know which part of the video was actually super helpful for you or whatever you think. But I would love to hear your feedback. And honestly, if you're moving to New York and you want to work with me, our team would be happy to help you out, honey. It's your girl, Lizzdtings. We'll see you next time.